So happy to be here with you. Dearly beloved, we gather today to celebrate the circle of life and the ancestors' breath. Losing someone to death can be such an abrupt and painful separation. Grieving that loss must be part of healing our wholeness. As a chaplain at Tucson Medical Center now, I share that grieving with people every day. Grief is a long and winding road. And in the wrestling with pain, we may also discover an ongoing relationship with that person. Who would you like to continue to be in relationship with? But no, some of you will say, death is final. They are well and truly gone. There are many who disagree. The ritual of Dia de los Muertos is set for the time of year when it is said the veil between the realm of the living and the realm of the dead is most penetrable. Marigolds cover the graves, whose scent attract the souls to come and celebrate with the families. Once a year, folks gather with special sweet treats to honor and commune with their ancestors. What a life-giving practice. They honor the lives of their loved ones and acknowledge the ongoing relationship in joy. Magical thinking, you may say, and in reply, I quote my favorite professor, Albus Dumbledore. To the well-organized mind, death is but the next great adventure. Though I can never claim to have a well-organized mind, the idea of a great adventure is a great comfort to me. I like to imagine some of my misguided relatives finally getting some insight on the other side. And I do find myself conversing in my mind with some of them, even ones who troubled me in life, always in the spirit of compassion. I imagine them standing by me, offering their supportive presence, dead and gone, but still a part of me. A great teacher and author I admire, Sobonfu Sameh, mentioned to a group of UU religious educators at a gathering years ago that where she comes from, in Burkina Faso, a sneeze is a sign of the ancestors agreeing with you. She says our ancestors are always hanging about, waiting for us to ask them for their support. What a great notion. Maybe not for concrete assistance, like please let the car make it to the gas station before going empty. Please let me get this job. But maybe. Or maybe instead, support for me to tap into my own inner guidance. I can feel my grandfather Dalsolio's smile and his rough cheek against mine, for I know I was the apple of his eye, no matter what. I can call forth the unstoppable energy of the women of my family making their way as pioneers, undaunted. Another great teacher, Buddhist master Thich Nhat Hanh, says that every morning he takes time at the altar to honor the ancestors, and he claims Jesus as a spiritual ancestor. This idea of claiming who you have never met but who have influenced your heart and mind in profound ways, this meaning of ancestor is intriguing. I can tap into the compassionate center of the Bodhisattva Kuan Yin, and claiming her as ancestor gives it greater power to transform my sense of myself, my way of being. Who are your spiritual ancestors? Whose life influences the way you are in the world? How much more would we integrate their influence if we paid attention to their spirit? The daily ritual of honoring, of prayer and meditation does have great meaning for many, and I believe eschewing ritual has been a big mistake for many of us, or at least for me. Those people I know who practice this kind of ritual indeed do have organized minds and are more centered and less scattered than I am. The ritual supports their wholeness, whatever it is, meditating, chanting, walking on the trail, lighting a candle. There is great value in celebrating a life. An Irish wake is often joyful, and they're not only telling stories of the good of the deceased, but also of their mistakes and weaknesses. It's easier to forgive when we can find the humor in transgressions and disappointments, or when we can see the offender as a whole and flawed person. Easier to forgive with some distance. Forgiveness cannot be forced or faked, but it comes more easily with perspective, and death can bring that blessing with time. With forgiveness comes a measure of wholeness, wisdom, and ease for ourselves. Ritual is salvific. When, as a minister, a bereaved family has said to me they don't want to have a memorial service, I ask them to reconsider. There is great value in saying goodbye in community. Marking the loss among others, marking the life, helps with the healing, though it is only the beginning of the journey. I remember a friend saying she was jealous of people of the Jewish faith. There are prescribed rituals for grieving that the whole community knows and participates in. But she herself had no such template or community connection. I have another friend who left the UU ministry to adopt her husband's Jewish faith, adopting a structure to live life in a sacred manner. We may need to create our own rituals from that which is meaningful to our own hearts. If celebrating Dia de los Muertos is not authentic to your own life, although Tucson has a growing number of people who participate in that ritual, what is authentic for you? As Unitarian Universalists, we accept wisdom from many traditions. I have a good friend who takes a hike on the anniversary of her brother's untimely death, intentionally connecting with his memory among the rocks and trees they both love. At the UU camp in the Arizona wilderness, Sawura, there is worship twice a year in the Grove of the Ancients, a great circle of juniper trees, really old juniper trees, sprung from an ancient mother tree, now long gone back to the earth. We honor the earth and the interconnected web of all being there, standing on her remains. In Prescott, where I served previously, there's now a tradition of holding an interfaith worship service in honor of the work and the legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King every year. This ritual lifts up and supports not only his dream, but the work of others following his footsteps now. Ritual implies attention and focus, which otherwise are easily scattered in our crazed lives. I don't always make it a practice to rise and place a stone in the water for joys and sorrows in our services, but during that part of the service, I do focus my mind and heart on the joys and sorrows of the moment and send loving kindness out to those who need it. It's a small thing, but for those moments of ritual, I am not squirreling on the internet or obsessing about tasks. I'm attending to my heart. What rituals can you follow or create that bring your attention to what is important to you and the connection of your familial and chosen ancestors to your heart? I invite you to consider that and to make time during the journaling to allow possibilities to present themselves. We are never alone. We carry the people of our lives with us always. Today, we honor them and thank them in kindness to ourselves. So I invite you to take some time for reflection or journaling. If you didn't bring a journal, Derek has some that he can pass out if you need one. Raise your hand. And let's just take a few moments quietly to reflect.